Kenyon Martin Sr. asked about James Harden coming back to Houston. Would you, if you were a player on a professional team, would you want your dad giving an opinion like this one publicly?
Do you have any interest in James Harden coming back to Houston to play with KJ, or don't like that?
No. Like James has made his mark in this league. He's done what he had to do. I just don't think you putting him in a situation where your core guys that you are depending on are 19, 20, 21, 22 years old. Because you stunt their growth and their development. If you're depending on Jalen to be this superstar that you were trying to put him in role to be, then I think it's going to stunt Jalen's growth, and Jabari and Sengun and those kids who you drafted first round high, who you just think James, the way he demands the ball and his style of play right now, will stunt their growth. And I don't think that's fair to them. Yeah. But I don't sign the checks. So
that audio, by the way, courtesy of Fanduel TV, is where that came from.
This feels like in the movie A Bronx Tale when you realize that Sonny the gangster wants to take your kid in under his wing, and you're kind of like, no, that's not the life for you, kid. Don't go hanging out with Sonny. I feel like James Harden is Sonny the gangster here. It's like, he's not the right influence on my son. I don't want him hanging out there at the butcher shop, learning to run numbers and whatnot. Yeah, I feel like it was pretty frank and honest by him. I felt like his emphatic no at the beginning. I think he said no 4 times.
Yeah, hit that. Let's count that again, Ben. Let's count that. Hit that again. Do you, Kenyon Martin Sr., do you want James Harden on your son's team, the Houston Rockets?
Like James has made his mark in this league.
Did I talk over it? Hit it again.
Coming back to Houston to play with KJ, or don't like that?
No.
4 times. No.
Might have been 5.
No, I do not.
One kind of trailed off. Okay, no, I do not.
Yep.
I think that he kind of softened it and he went on to talk about just how good James Harden has been and all of that. But with the guy that he said that demands the ball as much or needs the ball in his hands as much. I think that's old James, to a degree. It is. As much as Harden was cool not being the alpha in Philadelphia, can you expect that he'll be the same way or be less of an alpha in Houston? Because in Philadelphia, it was Joel Embiid. He's playing with the obvious, potential heir to the throne, or however you want to phrase it, or whatever Joel Embiid is going to be. He was going to be the guy in Philadelphia, and he's going to be the franchise guy for a long time. I think guys in Houston are still working their way into that persona or whatever persona they're going to be or have. So I do get that objection. I just also, I think there is something to be said for a lot of the people, the diehard James Harden stans who really want Harden to come back. There is something to be said for just injecting some juice and some success into the organization and teaching guys in that environment. It's a lot easier to iron out problems than it is to darn a whole new suit, from scratch, which is what it feels like they're having to do right now, is build everything from the ground up with a bunch of guys who still don't quite know and understand a lot of the lessons that they would learn from veteran guys. So that's where with Harden, it just feels like, okay, it's not a perfect fit for either parties. Let's call it what it is and turn this into a one-night stand. Let's just have it. This will be our little trip to hedonism, and we'll do a 1-year contract, and nobody will never talk about it again, or a 2-year contract. Harden, as soon as an opportunity comes along, I do hope people understand this. As soon as a better opportunity comes up, Harden will force his way off this team. They do understand that, right? Do they, Sean?
Well, they've been through it one time already, so I would hope
I don't know.
do.
Yeah, but I don't get the sense. I feel like some people feel like, well, his mom is here in Houston and he wants to stay. That's why he wants to be here. No, it's convenient that there are reasons for him to want to be back here. Well, there are no other really good opportunities for him in the league. Once one of those opportunities comes up, once somebody wants to pull him into the new super team, he will force his way out. That's the fact of the matter. So, and hopefully Rafael Stone can work some good deal when they do that. But the shorter term the contract, the less damaging that is.
I think, as far as Kenyon Martin Sr. goes, Seth, I agree with what you just said. I think you've always got to be walking on eggshells with Harden from that standpoint. As far as what Kenyon Martin Sr. said in that cut, if that's the Harden that you're getting, then he's 100% right. That's not good to have around younger guys that you're trying to develop. If it's the Harden that has to hero ball or feels the need to hero ball, then that's not a good thing. That's not a good mix. If it's the Harden that they got in Philadelphia, then I do think it makes a lot of sense to bring him in because this offense has looked completely disjointed with the group that they have. Kevin Porter Jr. is not a real point guard. James Harden he's kind of an unconventional point guard in that he can score as much as he can, unconventional in a good way. But, look, he led the league in assists. The guy knows how to distribute the basketball. He knows how to set teammates up if that's the mindset that looking at Harden coming in, my biggest concern would be that report. It might have been part of Keith Pompey's article, which maybe casts some level of doubt on it, I guess. But would be the report that wherever he goes, he wants to be himself. That whole thing. Like as if what he's been doing in Philadelphia has been something that he's been tasked with doing against his will. The need to be the two to Joel Embiid's one, the need to be the facilitator. That would be my concern if I were the Rockets, if there is truth to that report.
I think if you look at his usage rate, so like percentage of time that they're running plays through a given player while he's on the floor, his usage rate this past season was 25%. That's the lowest it's been since the 2011-2012 season. So, he was very much – that's back to the Thunder percentages. Yeah. That's as low as it's been in his entire career since he became a main guy, since he became a starter and not a sixth man. So, it's lower than it ever was at any point with the Rockets. Lower than any point since he left the Rockets. That's notable. That's a big difference. That's the lowest it's been since he's been a full-time starter. Mm-hmm. So, does he want to go back to, 2018, 2019, it was up to 40%.
I was going to ask you what the highest year was. Yeah.
The highest was 40% that year, bucked back down to 36%. And then, but even when he was playing with Kyrie and Durant, even though they're together a lot, it was a lot lower than he'd been in with the Rockets. So, he's a different guy. Like what he was last year, especially, he was very much more of an enabler. And the lowest usage rate since he's been a starter. Does he want to? I would imagine he doesn't like quite that level. But we also know that he didn't actually enjoy it when he was out there scoring 40 points a night, like that. And remember what a big shock it was to everybody in the league when there was that audio of him telling, was it LeBron or somebody else, this isn't what I want to be doing. And it was like news to people outside of Houston that, he's only doing this because there are no other players on the team anymore,
That streak was fun, though. That streak where he was 30-plus for 32 or 33 straight games, something like that. That was fun.
Yeah. I didn't like it just because it was there were a lot of narratives being written about him that were unfair, and that a lot of the whole thing about Harden was always tough because yes, there are parts of his game that you just wish it was a little bit different, and yet people would make it to be 8 times worse than it actually was than outside of Houston, and that was the annoying part. Was that you'd have to be defending somebody for something that you didn't really feel like defending them for, but by saying no, you're going too far. Yeah. Pull it back a little bit, and then it's accurate. Yeah.